That's right. Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, it is Tuesday afternoon. The wind, it is a blowing, and it looks like it's supposed to get up around 30 miles per hour here. And look who has just blown in this afternoon. The superstar of Uptown Greenwood. Yes, it's the city manager, Charlie Barrineau. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Ann. Yeah, it's windy out there. I think it's picked up a lot this afternoon.
Yeah, well, they're talking up to 30 miles per hour, so that's pretty darn fast. So how's everything going in Uptown?
We're doing good, Ann. The year's going along quite well. Hopefully, I think we're all ready for spring. There's pollen on the ground, so ready for the temperatures to warm up and get this year started.
Absolutely. Well, there certainly are a lot of good things going on in Uptown. I tell you what, every time you turn around, you got a new business coming in up there. Edward Jones, Now You're Cooking. I think there's even some Just Teas.
Yeah, we're seeing a number of restaurants continuing to query. You know, we lost Uptown Sushi this year. It had been our longest running restaurant. I think they had been there for 12 or 13 years. So, and hopefully we'll get that spot filled. The Inn on the Square continues to move along, and we're hopeful that project will come along as well this year.
Any idea when it's going to open its doors?
No, you know, I think like most projects, I think they've run into construction woes, and but they're going to get there. We feel pretty confident. It's
By
just,
July?
I don't put a date on it, Ann. I don't put a date on it. But it's just like anything else. It's just like if you were renovating a house, anything old, you better plan your budget.
That's why it's called a money pits, right?
That's right.
But still, I know a lot of people would like to see that back open again.
Without question. I had lunch today with some folks, and it's, there's 2 points that we're missing right now in the downtown, uptown area. And one is the hotel, and the second is residential. Without those two key pieces, we're always going to teeter, and we need that hotel to be open.
Sure. So, but it certainly looks nice. It's getting there on the outside. I don't know about the inside, but on the outside it looks pretty darn good. So
that's right.
That'll be nice. And the furniture place that went out, that's now put a
I think
consignment
that's the same owners. The Peels there, I think, had a discount furniture store, and then I think that's like the Uptown Shoppers Market.
Mm-hmm.
So that also, again, another way to give a small business owner a small footprint and bring people in.
Sure. So as you start moving forward here, I noticed the Uptown Market has already got its schedule out for April here.
Yeah, April 1st is next Wednesday, Ann, so we're a week away, ready for spring.
Yeah, actually, I think it's the 2nd is Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
The first
is Tuesday.
So you were trying to make sure that you didn't have any tricks played on you, right?
That's right.
Telling everybody it was Wednesday.
That's right.
All right, Charlie, so how is the market shaping up for this year?
It's doing real well. You know, the City Council has worked on a vision for an uptown market now, probably 4 years in the making. The lower triangular lot, it's about 2.5 acres, 3 acres there, that the city owns across from Kickers, was an identified vacant piece of property that was identified in the 2004 City Center Master Plan as a critical piece for future development, as we did a number of things. As we finished the federal building, finished the theater, finished the museum, this was the next step. And so we are now to that point in the master planning process of looking at this property. City Council, we operated the market stands there. This will be our 4th year of running those 2 market stands through a program with the Department of Commerce, and have been very successful. Many may remember back in 2011 and 2012, we had a larger visioning session of what a larger market structure could look like and events that could be held. And through these years and times, we've had many a meeting. We had a consultant come down from the Washington area from USDA to come work with us. He was their lead architect. He goes all over the country and consults on market structures and how they're presented. And then the Rasmussen Foundation contributed $250,000 to this vision, so we were hopeful that we would have some private dollars kickstarted. The Sell Family Foundation also contributed $100,000 over 3 years to fund a market manager. And so now City Council has been presented with a much broader market plan that includes parking, outdoor restrooms, and a neat feature that we think will really be the drawing card, and that's an interactive splash fountain or interactive water feature. You have to be careful on those terms. If you say a splash pad, sometimes on the legal side that makes you have to put a perimeter fence, and so we're calling it an interactive fountain.
So what does that actually mean?
If you can, for those that have been to Centennial Park in Atlanta, they've got one in Charleston. I think Spartanburg has one. In essence, it's a computerized fountain with concrete, and then the water comes up at intervals. It can be set to music, can be set to lights, and so children really enjoy that feature.
Can they get in there and get wet?
They do. They get in there and get wet. The drawing, the nice feature of it, obviously it's got maintenance costs and ongoing costs, but what we like so much is that you don't have some of the liability and the lifeguard necessities that pools require. So this is not going to be, the interactive water feature is not going to be the style that folks may be able to see at the Greenville parks. Those are more of water parks, where there's the water cannon and the big bucket that drenches you and all. That's not what we're talking about. This is a very clean downtown matching interactive fountain.
So this would be a good thing during the Festival of Discovery to walk over there and get yourself cooled off.
That's right.
Is that what you're thinking?
Yep. On those 95-degree days in Greenwood, you're definitely going to need a place to cool off. So, but yeah, I mean, year-round potential. Obviously, it would be down in the winter, but we think that the potential with lighting, we could have it open at night. There's just a lot of neat ideas that could be used.
You know, I think that this is going to be great, but what type of time frame are we looking at?
Yeah, City Council was presented the entire plan from the market shed structure that would hold up to 16 farmers and then be expandable, the splash pad, the restrooms, the parking. They were presented that plan in February, and they made a first motion to approve some of the funding for the parking. Parking construction could begin as early as May on Edgefield Avenue there behind Kickers, what everybody commonly refers to as the jury parking lot. It's where our jurors park.
Those great souls that march all the way up to the courthouse without any help or anything and get muddy and dirty. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So hopefully by the end of this summer we'll improve that. And so hopefully we're going to have a number of partners on that project. The State Department of Transportation is working with us, and they will provide the pedestrian countdown lights there at Oak and Edgefield. So when the jurors leave, that they'll be able to push a button and go to the courthouse. The CPW has also voted to participate and provide all the underground wiring for the project.
Lighting too, aren't they?
We will actually purchase the lights with the hospitality tax dollars. And then, County Council at their last one of their working meetings discussed there was funding in the 2010 county bond ordinance, general fund bond ordinance, $100,000 that could potentially go for this project. So I think at their April the 1st meeting on Tuesday, that they'll
April Fool's Day, yeah. Okay.
Hopefully it won't be an April Fool's Day, but again, anytime when you can get 4 key entities, the city, the state, DOT, the CPW, and the county to work together, I mean, that's great.
That is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, so that would be ready soon.
Yeah, we're hopeful that in large majority of that parking lot could be finished in July in time for the barbecue festival Discovery. City Council is also recommending that they move forward with design of the market itself. Design could begin immediately, take most of the summer. Davis and Floyd is our key design firm for this project here locally. So construction is possible by the September time period.
For the market itself.
For the market itself and the splash pad and the restroom facilities. So I'm telling people to be optimistic for the spring of 2015 that
would be pretty fast. One of the questions I know that people that are out there are listening to is, all these years the jurors parking lot never got paved. Why is it that it can get paved now, Charlie?
Yeah, great question. And it's simply just a matter of funding. You know, the city employees, not that we're any different than yours, we too parked in gravel parking lot for decades until we switched over to a paved surface. But we were able to get the funding in place this year, and hopefully we're going to get it done. We agree that the jurors get paid hardly anything for their civil duty and service, so we don't get that paid a lot of time.
Okay.
We also wanted to have something that was just a little bit nicer. You know, I guess there could have been a time where we could have thrown down some asphalt over there, but the best thing that I can compare it to, if any of you have seen the parking lot next to where Rick's Cafeteria was there on Phoenix, this is the same style of parking lot that we're going to put there on Edgefield. So it's not just a parking lot. I mean, a lot of the costs are the landscaping, the irrigation, the lighting, something that's going to be very attractive. We're hopeful that the properties that are there on Edgefield Street, there's a number of vacant buildings, vacant lots, will be elevated, and then we'll see further development in that area.
All right. Well, we are here with Charlie Barrineau. He is the superstar city manager. Yes, it was in the Index Journal. I am just quoting the Index Journal here. I believe the date was Monday, January 27th, 2014. Thanks, Chris Trainer. Hey, we'll be right back. If you got a question for Charlie, superstar, 229-7984. That's 229-7984. Give us a call. Oh, that's right. We're right back here, Sharp Facets Gallery, talking with City Manager Charlie Barrineau, who's been our guest many times on the air and always likes to come on and fill everybody in on what's going on. We've been talking some about the parking lot coming together. Now, that piece of property, that 2.5-3 acres, that triangle-shaped piece of property, you bought that, the city bought that?
Yeah, the city bought both of those properties from CSX, or what I said both, I'm sorry. They also bought West Cambridge Park at the same time. So those two tracts of land, I believe they paid $50,000, possibly for each of those tracts of land in the early 90s. Those can remember, obviously I was not born, but there was the depot.
You were not born.
There was the depot, sorry.
The early 1990s. Come on now, Charlie.
In the 70s, back then,
okay.
A little bit. In the 70s, behind Kickers was the depot, and of course it was raised, I think, in 72. And then the freight depot was there in front of E.S. Moon's and Millhouse there.
Okay.
And I'm not sure when it was raised, maybe in the 80s. But the city bought those properties in the 90s.
Sure. And so that's going to be a nice project. Now, how much dollars are you looking at that this actual project? Now, the parking lot should cost what?
The parking lot's around $325,000.
Just for a parking lot?
Just for a parking lot. I know nothing else.
What is that? $4,000 a spot or something?
Yeah. And I respect that, but you got to remember the lighting, the irrigation, the landscaping, the grading, the rocks, the asphalt, and so the challenge is nothing's cheap.
It just seems a lot, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
So, and these are all, and then the project itself, the
entire project, including this parking lot, we think we can do it for about $2.8 million. That's the parking. There's two parking lots: the parking lot behind Kickers, and then the circular parking lot that would be constructed in front of Millhouse. Of that 2.8, the market shed, the open-air market structure, which would again be covered for about 16 vendors, is about $800,000 of that 2.8 million. The splash pad is probably another $200,000 to $300,000, and then you've got all the other components. The multi-stall restroom. We're putting a restroom facility that could accommodate hundreds of people because long term we're hopeful that events, oyster roasts, and we're hopeful that those would locate here, and it would be a great community style barbecues. And so the market shed is being designed to where it could be multi-purpose. It is an irrigation sprinkler system is being installed from the beginning. So because it's open air, it may be on the borderline of whether or not we need it, but we're going to go ahead and put that in because long term, we hope that this project will be so successful that doors could be retrofit to the market structure. Right now, it's going to be open air, but we are hopeful that garage style doors could be added at a later date. So if you wanted to have an enclosed event, you could do that.
Well, that's big plans. Now, where does all the money come from for this?
Sure. Well, in addition to the Rasmussen private funding that we mentioned, the largest majority is going to be through the local hospitality tax, which is the 2% tax that we all pay on food and beverage inside the city.
And how much money does the hospitality tax bring in every year?
Sure. Right now, the hospitality tax brings in about $1.5 million. And that's increased since we started collections in 2006 of around 1 to 1.1 million. So we've seen that number steadily moving upwards every year. And with the number of restaurants projected to come into Greenwood that we're hearing, we don't see that number slowing.
Mm-hmm. So this is now, so you'll do a bond, but then the money will actually come from the hospitality tax.
City Council probably has enough cash flow in the bank now to do this project, but to make sure that we have the appropriate cash flow, City Council's looking at a revenue bond, and so it would be a short-term revenue bond that would be backed by the hospitality tax revenue. The interest rates are just unbelievable. I think the interest rate we looked at was 1.4% or 1.5%.
You better secure it today.
So, yeah, when money is being loaned at that rate, it's very attractive to get these projects done.
Sure. Now, what about property taxes, though? Is any money from property taxes?
Yeah, no property taxes will be used for this project, and as it was constructed with hospitality tax dollars, it can be operated and maintained with hospitality tax dollars. The splash pad, we've been modeling our project. If you want to go online and look at a project that we think ours is going to be similar to, I'd encourage you to look at Winter Garden, Florida. That was a project that we, in essence, found the market and splash pad together, and saw a number of videos and photos, and it's impressive. Their splash pad interactive water feature costs about $10,000 annually to maintain. You're recycling the water, so that's the heavy cost. You've got to pay for the pumps and the chemicals. You'll have to go through all the similar permitting with DHEC as far as making sure that the pH levels and the chlorine is
and
appropriate.
Who's going to take care of that?
Again, we will have a market manager on staff that will be responsible for maintaining that property, along with establishing, I guess, the events that go with that. Some of the demand on the operations obviously will fall on our public works staff who maintain our other properties.
Now, as far as this this market person that
Sure.
you have the money, I guess, set aside for, correct?
Yeah, again, the Sell Family Foundation committed 3 years to pay that position. Obviously, after the end of the 3 years, City Council would have to use local dollars. They could use hospitality tax dollars to fund that position long term.
Is that something you've started looking for?
We have not advertised it yet. We're in the job description phase. We think we have a draft. I would say that we could potentially be advertising by the end of April, 1st of May. We really wanted to make sure that City Council had approved the project and was going along. We didn't want to advertise.
Put somebody on staff and then say, sorry, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
That'd be bad.
Yeah, so we kind of hold, but we really want them to be a part of the entire process, construction. And a lot of people say, well, you only may have a market a couple of days a week. What's this person going to do during the days they don't have a market? Twiddle their thumbs? But a lot of what they're going to do, we probably will not call the position Uptown Market Manager. It'll probably be a special event coordinator, but with the key of the market. But they will be doing a lot of after market hours tours of farms. They will go out to farms, meet with farmers, develop relationships with farmers, hopefully encourage chemical-free farming practices and other ways of farming, encourage more youth in farming.
This is going to be a sales position, too.
It will be. The number, in writing the job description, the number one aspect that we're going to need this individual, a lot of people call and they think it's farming or understanding growing plants. It is not. Communication skills and having to deal with a wide variety of opinions and makeups and personalities is going to be this individual's, to think quick on their feet is going to be very important.
Sure. All right. Well, we are here with Charlie Barrineau, and of course, he is our city manager. We're talking about the Uptown Market, and of course, they have a lot of ways that you can keep up with what's going on. Gosh, you've got a Twitter feed now.
We do. We have many Twitter feeds. I think we've got 6.
Okay, but you've got the Uptown, and
Uptown
then you've got the Uptown. What is the other one? Uptown Greenwood.
The Facebook page.
Facebook.
Yeah.
But you have 2, don't you? Have Uptown Market and
Well,
Uptown Greenwood?
Yeah, the city's
Twitter?
got a Twitter account, the Uptown's got a Twitter account, the Market's got a Twitter account, Festival Discovery's got a Twitter account, Festival Fly, so we're heavily engaged in social media.
Social media.
Yeah.
All right, so you can all sign up and make sure you know what's going on. Right now, we're just going to hear a quick word from our sponsors right here on WCRS. Hey, if you've got a question for Charlie, don't hesitate to give us a call. 229-7984. That's 229-7984. Don't you go away.
Arg, are you a pirate or a pack rat? Do you have a vacation of a lifetime sitting in the attic? Or a college tuition hung on a wall? Or is a fabulous retirement hidden in your jewelry box? Bring those items to Sharp Facets Gallery. We can establish value and buy from you or sell for you. And so ends another chapter at Sharp Facets Gallery, 72 Bypass, and on the web, sharpfacets.com.
Hey, I'm Ann Eller, right back here with you, just talking with Charlie Barrineau, city manager of Greenwood. How long have you been the city manager now?
I guess I'm into my 5th year, Anna. I've
year.
been with the city now going into my 14th year. It's amazing. I was just a young pup when Steve Brown brought me in here. Getting old.
Is it the job that's making you old, or are you really getting old there, Charlie? Yeah, all right. Well, Gracie, go lay down. We're not finished yet. But anyways, we were talking about, I was looking at the schedule here. And we're going to go back and, I guess, talk a little bit more about the market. But just to change it up, this market, when it starts in April, now I always see you have music, you have Jake Bartley and Ashby Stokes,
Right.
and you try to make it a real connubial, and you
Sure.
got people cooking down there.
Sure.
What's going on?
Yeah, we started this past fall in October and November. We had a fall Uptown Market. It was every Wednesday from 10 to 2. And we threw music at it. We threw Self-Regional Healthcare partnered with us. They had their Mobile Express. They brought their registered dietitians in. We got produce from the local farmer, and we made fresh and local recipes, using what was in season. And so we're hopefully going to do that again for every Wednesday in April and May, starting next Wednesday, April 2nd.
Is it free?
Well, obviously you got to pay for the produce, but
But I'm talking about when you're fixing the food and
the
everything.
music's
They come up
free
with
and
a
the
price.
samples, and they give all that's free. And again, we're hopeful that we can create this. It's tough. I mean, I got 4 kids to get them to eat broccoli is just but you got to make it cool for them. You got to throw things in it. You got to throw music in with it and make it colorful and make it fun and entertaining, and they may eat it.
They may eat it, yeah. So when you're having these things uptown, these are really tastings. Is that what you're telling me, or can
Well,
you?
no, it's a market. I mean, it's a market day.
No, I'm saying when they're fixing food.
Yes.
Because I've thought about coming down there, but I didn't realize it was.
This first one, the second, the self-regional dietitians won't be there. They'll be there the first one on the April the 9th.
Okay.
And they will have a number of recipes, and they'll have 2 or 3 different things to taste. And you can pick up a recipe card, and so it's all about eating local and eating healthier. And while listening to live music, and you can pick up some things from Parisi Farms, or we'll have BioWay Farms, Grits and Groceries. A number of local farmers are participating in this.
Well, I've had Grits and Groceries. I know when she comes on Wednesdays, doesn't she? Is she still bringing the meals that you can take them home and cook them later?
They do. They've got a number of. I think the latest one that they had was a beet salad, and it was beets that Penny had grown right here in Abbeville that Grits and Groceries added their flair to it. And I think they've got a broccoli salad now. They've got all kind of neat stuff much of it is grown right here in our backyard.
So how is that, though, to get farmers to come? I mean, I notice on the list you've got Parisi Farms, Parisi Farms, Parisi Farms, Parisi Farms.
It has been a challenge.
When you first started, I don't think you thought it would be that much of a challenge, did you?
Yeah, no, we knew it was going to be a challenge. It's about relationship building. We went through the same thing, and the only thing I can compare it to, because we've been involved with it now going into the 14th year, is the barbecue festival. We started the barbecue festival out with 5 teams, and we're now up to well over 90 teams. And so a lot of that is creating a relationship with those teams. Many of those teams were on a first name basis. I know we had one of the barbecue team members had surgery today. We sent them flowers. I mean, it's just that relationship building. And so that's the same relationship that we're trying to build with many of these farmers. And it simply takes time. When you come in and say, hey, we're going to start up a market, come on. I mean, that's just not that simple. We're asking these farmers to do a lot for us. We're saying, we know you may only want to sit down here for an hour. Mm-hmm. But we want you to sit down here all day. And so that is very demanding and hard on the farmer that would much rather be in the field working than just sitting and waiting on a customer to show up. But we knew in the uptown area that having that variety of hour and day was critical to the success of the market.
Sure. So you do have a group of vendors. Yeah, I guess you would like to have more.
We do. The challenge has been, finding that farmer that's got a diverse enough product that will fill the market. Until we get to the market day, like the spring days on Wednesdays, we've got farmers that do just chicken or farmers that do just pork. But that's not enough to fill a market, and so we're trying to build relationships with all of these different farmers to fill an entire market.
Just thought about talking to 4-H'ers.
Yeah,
or young farmers.
Well, a lot of the Healthy Greenwood neighborhoods with their garden programs, the produce programs that they've had. There's now the school district has built a greenhouse with the help of Healthy Greenwood neighborhoods and Lowe's. There is a movement back to fresh and local, and so we think that we're on the cutting edge of that here in Greenwood.
You're going to have a section for backyard farmers that have extra produce that they could bring in.
And there are all kind of projects, it's in all seriousness, there's all kind of ways that we can work this market to give back. Many of those farmers that are participating want to find ways to give back to the community.
Well, that's what will make it go eventually here, right? And then particularly you're going to have 16 places. Now let's just futuristically, when you get the market totally open, is it going to be open every day or just...
Yeah, and a lot of that will be dictated by once we get there and see. I've always been a proponent of starting slow. I would much rather get it right than I would fail right out the gate. And so that's why we've been running the market stands now for 4 years. It will be a challenge. People have gotten used to the curbside pickup delivery that we have at the current market stands. And so how will a market day work and have that curbside structure? We may not be able to do both. But there are markets that operate every day. And then have a bigger market day where many vendors come, but then they've got some permanent vendors. So, we've made relationships with a number of folks. As we said, we've reached out to USDA and have made great relationships with them. So we hope that we're going to get this right.
Now, what about the farmers market out here behind the Civic Center?
That's a great question. That tends to be when I speak the number one question, and that market will continue to operate as is. And a plug for them. They've got their big spring plant sale coming up April the 11th and 12th, just in a few weeks. So go out there and support that. But again, they've been successful. Been out there for over 30 years. And in essence, what we're wanting to do is basically take that success and bring some of that and infuse it into the uptown and create that the market day. I don't like using Greenville a lot because Greenville's so big compared to Greenwood, but Greenville Saturday Market has just been an unbelievable success in infusing people into the downtown on Saturdays, and so we see that vision for Uptown Greenwood.
Oh, all right. Well, we are here with Charlie Barrineau. We're talking about the Uptown Market with the farmers market that'll be coming their way, the one that's already there. Now, Penny Parisi, she is tireless, isn't she?
She is. She's the real superstar of the heart.
Yeah.
No, we all, Penny's been with us since the beginning. She's a great sounding board. We'll run ideas by her to get her opinions. And she's got a lot of connections with local farmers.
Sure. And of course, she's always bringing neat and different stuff up there, and she's there 2 days a week. I mean, that's
she's actually there all three.
Three?
Those two, she's there alone, and then the other two, she's there on the Wednesdays. So. And as
that's
the
hard
season,
to be producing goods and being in that.
It is, and she will tell you that she might be the face of Parisi Farms, but her husband's working hard in the back, and Jeremy and Michelle are back at the farm working too. So they've got a pretty good team working.
Putting that together. All right. Well, we are here with Charlie Barrineau. We have looked at some of the vendors that they have. They certainly have a good variety. But again, the question is, can they produce enough to be there on a regular basis?
And we're hopeful that it's going to grow. When the last market pictures came out in the paper, that week alone I had calls from 4 brand new vendors that I've just moved to the area. I'm growing X. I'm going to build a hoop house. I'm doing hydroponics. Had a guy from Ware Shoals call me, brand new. I'm growing. I'm starting to grow by hydroponics. So this is a big movement that is not going to slow down. You're seeing people that want chemical-free, fresh and local. They want to know where their products are made, who's growing it. They want to know their farmer, and they'll pay for it.
Sure. All right. Well, we're here with Charlie Barrineau. We're going to be back. I think we probably are going to talk a little bit about some upcoming festivals. So don't you go away. We'll be right back. All right. We're right here. WCRS. I'm here with Charlie Barrineau. We're talking about some of the big things coming up. And, of course, first up, I guess we ought to talk a little bit about the Symetra Tour. That's actually going to be the first thing. That's the Self-Regional Health Classic out there at the links of Stony Point. 10 years, millions of dollars, and the support that they are going to give to some of our nonprofits, unbelievable.
Yeah,
what do you think?
The Medfords are to be highly commended. They've done a great job of logistically pulling all this together, and so anytime that Greenwood can get its name out there positively on a national face is great for our community.
So that'll be the first one coming up, and this will be the first one, and then, like we said, it'll be for 10 years. And of course, I guess you're hopeful that a lot of people are going to end up Uptown Greenwood.
We do. We've got a number of components that we're working with them. I think our tourism office is working on a pub crawl in the Uptown. We will obviously have a number of the topiaries actually out at the golf course that our staff will be working to maintain. So we're hopeful that they spend money in all of Greenwood.
And how about Dwight and Ann and all the work that they do to keep Greenwood looking beautiful?
Yeah, our team, over 30 to 40 members of our public works and sanitation staff don't get the credit. Those ladies and men work tirelessly 7 days a week for our community, but they take so much pride in what they do and trying to keep litter up
and all the new flowers that you keep seeing popping up.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we're going to have a new water feature this year, and I guess the Festival of Flowers just announced a new topiary this year. The Mermaid will come out. We're going to have a second new topiary. Haven't announced that yet, but there's actually going to be 2 new topiaries this year, and we're working on a third. We've got a sponsor for a third that won't come out till 2015. So it's exciting that people are buying into the topiaries and moving that forward for many years to come.
Well, I think one of the good things about the topiaries, moving them uptown there and having that greenhouse and everything, certainly has made it a lot easier to maintain and grow them and whatnot.
It really has. Many folks that if they don't understand, they just all of a sudden see these topiaries land out in uptown, but they grow year round, and we have to give them love year round. And so Ann and Dwight and our team
Can't just cover them up and put them in the dark.
No, and the more love that you give them, the less money you will spend on them, the less you will have to replug and replant, and and Dwight, I'll go down there and they can make all the seeds. They can cut the leaf in half and then grow and all the stuff that they can do. It's just great science and biology down there that they're working on, and it's saving us money.
Sure, because you're growing your own. You don't have to buy them or import them anymore. So
well, and many times the plugs that we were using in the topiaries, we were having to buy them, and we were having to buy them in such a late stage that they were more. So now we're growing them and can do that much more cost effectively.
Sure. So, well, that's going to be exciting as far as the Symetra tour and having some of the topiaries out there. That's going to be that'll be a huge thing to move them out there to the links.
Yeah, it's always a challenge, but we try to have cars on both ends and make sure it doesn't fall off. But we should be able to make it work.
We'll have to have the topiary parade. Taking them out there. All right. Well, then that's coming up, and of course that's Mother's Day weekend. They're going to have this huge buffet out there. It's going to be fabulous. But then coming up is the Festival of Flowers. Now, there's a lot of conversation on what the city's involvement with the Festival of Flowers is.
Yeah, and I think it's a good discussion. I mean, we're now into I think this is the 45th year, I believe, 44th, 45th year of the Festival of Flowers, and it's about sustaining it. I mean, that's really what the Chamber and the city have talked about, is making sure that there is a Festival of Flowers into the future. And what's the best form? Different communities do it different ways. The Festival Discovery is a city-run event. The Festival of Flowers is a chamber-run event. Both work fine. We've looked at some of the models from other communities. We've toured up in Fort Mill and looked at their Strawberry Festival. Greenville, the city of Greenville, most of their events, if all their events downtown have been taken over by the city. There's somewhat of a ability for the city to better manage the holistic approach of a community brand. But I think the Chamber and the city are going to work together, whatever is decided.
Sure. And there's some discussion futuristically of even shortening it up, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, the Festival of Flowers is a month-long event, and so do you lose some of that bang for the buck? Sponsors, let's be honest, are looking for as many people as they can get. And so the Festival Discovery has been successful because we can show a photo with a sea of people. And so the Festival of Flowers may not be able to show that as much. And so we're trying to make that bigger event, that bigger weekend. I think long term, this year alone, the festival is moving the arts and crafts show into the uptown. We think that the potential of the farmers market venue, the uptown market venue, would be an excellent venue for that. The use of the Federal Building, Museum, Veterans Center. There are many ways that the library, having talks, consultants come in and talk about plants and growing. We can use our assets and keep those in a clustered area to bring more people in.
That's terrific. Well, we are also getting ready for the Blues Cruise and Festival of Discovery. Started out with 5 vendors, and what are you up to now?
Yeah, we had over 90. I think we had right at 92 barbecue teams last year.
And I guess that taking over the main street worked.
Yeah.
Did you learn a lot?
We did. You can never have enough people. We've made a few mistakes, but for the most part, it worked really well.
I think once you found the right way to navigate, it became very easy.
We tried. You can't have your cake and eat it too, I guess, so to speak. We tried to let the driver have a little flexibility, and we've quickly learned that you can't have any flexibility. It's either closed or it's not. If you give a car a lane to get in, they're going to get in. And when you have an event like this, it's got to be totally closed to traffic. So there won't be a lot of flexibility. But I think over the years, people are going to get used to it, and they'll just know for those 3 days, here's the way I've got to go.
Sure. And what about some of the ways you're going to lay it out this year? I mean, I think everybody loved the fact of being able to walk on Main Street with the trees and everything. It certainly was wonderful.
It was. Probably one of the, again, more seating, more tent-covered areas. We get a lot of requests for handicap parking. That's something that we've got to focus on. But every year, it's a good challenge. It's a lot of work. We're working with CPW now to put more power underground. We're working on it today. I mean, things that people would never imagine, and we're getting it done.
And what you have to go through to put on an event like this, to have all that electricity running down the center, and water, I guess, is another issue for everybody. It's pretty important when you're cooking.
Yeah, it's literally running a small city for above ground for a few days and then taking it all down. So, and then if you can imagine the other part of that, we have to store all that material. So we've got a pretty large warehouse that we keep all this stuff in so that we can bring it back out every year.
Now, what kind of dollar impact does let's use the Festival of Discovery and the Blues Cruise, because that's probably the one you're most familiar with.
Sure. The last year's impact, I think, was a little over 1.5, so it's in the 1.3 to 1.5 million dollar impact, and it just depends on who gets impacted. These folks come in and they may go into the bread store and buy everything out of bread, or they may go into the grocery store and buy all of their parsley. It's interesting to see some of the things that get bought. But then you have, all the folks coming in, the gasoline that's purchased, the hotel rooms, and we calculate that about 1.3 to 1.5 million. So.
If there was one thing that you think we need here in Greenwood, what would that be? That we need more of.
Well, and this is, I guess, cliche into what I'm supposed to say, but we do. I mean, we need jobs. And we can continue to work with the county and the Partnership Alliance to bring in jobs, manufacturing jobs. We're like everybody else. That's the one thing that we could greatly use. Sure. Diverse selection of jobs. The announcements with the Genetics Center and Clemson University, I think that sets us up excellent for the future.
Now, what about that roadway that you're talking about, that connector? So,
Carolina Avenue?
Right.
Yeah, that we think could be almost a vein of future investment into the future. There off of South Main, better connect into Edgefield Avenue and the Genetics Center and the Clemson University Research Campus. It's one of those 10, 15, 20-year projects. It may be a project that I don't get to see, but
what's that supposed to mean, Charlie?
Well, a city manager 20 years from now will look back and say, whoever that guy was or that community was, that the Carolina Avenue would be like the railroad being removed from Uptown. I mean, that was 30 or 40 years ago, and that project has been a huge impact on this community.
This is WCRS right here in Greenwood. Charlie, we can talk a minute more. I just wanted to get that in, so I'd be in compliance here today.
Yeah. But Carolina Avenue hopefully will go through. It'll be a phased project. City Council is looking to work with the county and the Partnership Alliance and other stakeholders to develop a master plan for the development of that road.
All right. Well, as always, it's a pleasure to sit down and talk to you. I know that it comes as everything starts getting ready to blossom. Now, we didn't talk about Live After 5.
Well,
is
new
at
name,
6.
Uptown Live.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So
we tried to get a little hipper in there, and Uptown Live. It's 6 o'clock.
It's probably good because I used to make a joke last year. Yes.
We got rid of the 5.
Okay.
But use social media to kind of get people's feedback, and they picked Uptown Live, and so we think it works real well. Uptown Live kicks off next Thursday night, April the 3rd. It's already April, yeah. Carolina Pride presents the Fabulous Expression, so 6 o'clock.
That's going to be a good one.
Carolina Pride will have free hot dogs, and it'll be a lot of fun. Debbie and Dennis Still will be out there smoking up some hot dogs for us. And then just a long list of events. You can go to uptowngreenwood.com to see the list, but it's almost every two weeks there, 2 shows a month.
And then not doing it during the middle of the hot summer anymore.
The heat just didn't Yeah.
Didn't work. Okay, so now to stay informed as to what's going on, and just for one last question, how does Uptown Greenwood benefit the rest of us?
How does Uptown Greenwood?
Yeah, I'm going to ask the question here. You know, Charlie, I wasn't going to let you escape, but since we talked over here, I'm going to ask the question.
Yeah. Again, I think our downtown is a reflection of our entire community. I always remember a conversation that Steve Brown told me that he and Floyd Nicholson had when Fuji located here, and the Japanese folks toured the Uptown and how impressed they were and how much it meant to them that the community had a clean and vibrant downtown. And I think that's that vision, and that's what sells others to locate here. You may not live in the Uptown, and your industry may not be in the Uptown, but it's a critical component of what we call Greenwood.
All right, you heard it right here today from the City Manager, Charlie Barrineau. Always nice to have you come out and see us.
Thank you, Ann.
All righty, that's going to do it for us. This is WCRS.